Hey everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your friendly neighborhood Linux gamer. Today we're going to be talking about Steam Deck news because there's been some stuff that I feel like we should talk about. So that's what we're going to do because this is my channel and I make the rules here. So the first thing I want to talk about is that it's been about a month since the Steam Deck has launched, and Valve actually released a video just a few days ago that quickly summarizes everything that the company has done with the Steam Deck so far. One of the biggest things that they did is on March 30th, the Steam Deck client was actually updated with the ability to type on the on-screen keyboard using the trackpads. And just a day later, further improvements were added to the on-screen keyboard, such as increased accuracy for those who type with the trackpad and more bug fixes. Now, the Steam Deck's virtual keyboard is one of the best virtual keyboards on any PC that I've ever used. I actually love the dual trackpad typing. It works really great. And once you get used to it, it's way faster than the hunt and peck method of using the joystick or prodding the screen one letter at a time. This is actually something that I asked for in the fixes and features video that I did, the first one, and it's really nice to be able to see that here coming to fruition. Now, with that March 30th update, they actually added the Steam Deck game mode's on-screen keyboard for desktop mode, which is really nice, retiring the old big picture mode keyboard that was kind of long in the tooth at this point. They added more calibration options for the thumbsticks and trackpads. They added bug fixes and a whole lot more. On April 5th, Valve made more improvements to the Steam Deck's offline mode. Entering and exiting this no longer requires restarting Steam. Chrome is now being installed from the Flatpak stable repo, which is a big bonus for a lot of people. They added more keyboard adjustments to the on-screen keyboard, including strengthening the haptics when moving the trackpad pointers over a new key, and, you guessed it, additional bug fixes. A few days later, freezing-related bugs were also fixed, and a few additional options were added to the on-screen keyboard. So if you are familiar with dynamic collections on desktop mode of Steam, you can actually now control those, create new ones using the Steam Deck UI. This is a really neat feature as it allows users to create lists of games based on their Steam Store metadata, and it's really fun to play with. It also helps you keep things organized in your Steam library, which I really appreciate. All right, let's talk about Valve shipping Steam Deck units. So back in February, Valve's Lawrence Yang told IGN that they planned on shipping hundreds of thousands of units per month come April. Well, it's now April, and it appears that they're actually living up to that promise. Valve stated that their team is actually going to start shipping Steam Deck units twice a week on certain weeks, with a weekly cadence of Monday and Thursday. Though do note that this is not for all regions. This is great news though for those of us who are still waiting to get their Steam Deck email. Even though I have a Steam Deck, I'm still waiting for my original order that I placed for the Steam Deck, so I am going to be picking mine up once I get my email in Q3. But this hundreds of thousands of units here is kind of a huge deal, as it gives us a speculative, at least, window into how many units might have been reserved. Several folks, including myself, believe that there might have been over 2 million, maybe even 3 million units reserved. And that's just based on the first couple days of the Steam Deck being available to pre-order. I'm very excited to see numbers from Valve, like official real numbers, because I think that'll be very interesting to see how this has all played out for them. All right, next up, let's talk about verified and playable titles for the Steam Deck. We are now over 2,000 games that are either ranked playable or verified. This includes massive hits like Elden Ring, as well as one that was kind of a big surprise to the community, Apex Legends. Being an Electronic Arts game, I wasn't expecting to ever see Apex Legends get official support, but it's great to see here. Speaking of the verified program, let's talk about how you can actually let Valve know your experiences with verified and playable titles. Now, I've already complained at length about how some verified titles don't live up to the verified status, as have many others on the platform. That's why Valve has actually come up with a solution, or at least hopefully a solution. They have rolled out a new interface element that allows players to send feedback about their experience with verified and playable titles. This is an optional, an opt-in feedback program that lets players tell Valve if their experience actually lived up to the playable or the verified ranking according to Valve's tests. Now, you'll be prompted to opt into the feedback program with this banner. Can we occasionally ask you for feedback? Your input will help us improve Steam Deck. Yes, no thanks, or learn more. Now, if you choose yes, then you might be prompted after you finish playing a game with a banner like this. Valve's testing indicates this game is verified. Does this match your experience with the game? Yes, no, ignore. Responding to this feedback helps Valve find issues with verified titles. Now, Valve is a very data-driven company, almost to a fault. Hopefully, the feedback players are able to provide here helps them improve their overall deck verified program, because there are some titles that really do not deserve the title of verified. If you're enjoying this video and you enjoy these deep dives into Steam Deck news on a semi-weekly basis, why not hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps the show grow and lets me know that I'm going in the right direction. And thank you. All right, next, let's talk about Valve has actually made it increasingly easy for developers to support their games on the Steam Deck. The games that I mentioned earlier, Apex Legends and Elden Ring, they're both two examples of games that are powered by Anticheat software, but that's not a hindrance for these games to be played on the deck. This is a testament to Valve really throwing their weight around with middleware vendors like Epic and BattlEye and being able to get them to support their in-house platform, Proton. It's also important to note that these games have not reported any issue with Steam Deck players or Linux users being able to cheat more easily than their Windows counterparts, which is, I think, important. Okay, next up, navigating the Steam store. It has become quite a bit easier, as well as your Steam library. Scrolling is now far more responsive and it doesn't have that sluggish slowdown that I've talked about in previous videos. And now you have an option to actually use the triggers to navigate through the Steam store and your library. This is, again, a feature that I really wanted in my first features and fixes video. And it's really nice to see that that's been implemented here. All right, so I'm gonna be honest with you, this is probably my favorite topic this week. It seems that GPD, the makers of the GPD Win series of handhelds, yeah, they definitely don't like the competition that they've been seeing from the Steam Deck. And they're getting pretty desperate, it seems. They've taken to stealing footage from YouTube content creators and not giving credit to the original creators. So the question is, what have they been doing with the footage that they have been just straight up stealing? Well, they are putting it in their own bizarre anti-Steam Deck marketing videos. Yeah, you heard that right. So I think it might be fair to assume that we won't be seeing any GPD devices shipping with SteamOS anytime soon. And you know, it's kind of strange to me because GPD is a weird company anyway, right? Like they launch most of their products not on like AliExpress, but Indiegogo. They do crowdfunding campaigns to actually launch their products. Meanwhile, their ergonomics are atrocious. Their controls always feel pretty cheap to me, and I just can't help but feel like their CEO or maybe their marketing team is afraid of Valve and what the Steam Deck actually brings to the handheld PC market. Namely, quality hardware at an unbelievably good price. All right, enough about GPD. Let's talk about dbrand. Not sponsored, by the way. dbrand is now selling skins and wraps for the Steam Deck. This is great if you want to customize the look of your device. I think some of these are pretty handsome too. I mean, there's a nifty little configurator tool on their website. You can find a link below. And I really like these pastels and the carbon fiber look here. Using their configurator tool, I actually managed to create a Pikachu skin for the low price of $39.85. All joking aside though, I am seriously considering picking up a dbrand wrap for my Steam Deck because I just really love how this looks. And there's also potential here to be able to make something akin to the Portal themed Steam Deck that we saw in the developer Q&A video. I would love to do that. Holy cow. All right, next up, let's talk about deeper controller customization. Now, the controller customization on the Steam Deck is second to none. Every button, stick, trigger, and pad are customizable. But with recent releases of the Steam Deck client, things have gotten even better. You're now able to set control stick dead zones on a per game basis. And you know what? I'm not even sure if that was a feature we had in Big Picture Mode's controller configuration utility. Furthermore, we now have a button test menu in the settings. This is great as it can help us troubleshoot and find issues with the Steam Deck's controller. And finally, I want to talk about OneXPlayer today. It looks like OneXPlayer might actually be shipping SteamOS on certain SKUs. SteamOS pre-installed on OneXPlayers? Yes, please. I think that's pretty sick. Now, this report comes from WePC. They recently had an interview with Jason Zhang, who is one of the guys over at OneXPlayer. In WePC's article, they said, quote, Zhang continued to share his opinions on Valve's market-disrupting machine by giving his stance on how Valve managed to achieve success with the device. Quote, Steam Deck is a very influential product that has managed to leverage its accumulated assets and bring the public's attention to the field of portable gaming. We sincerely congratulate Steam Deck for its achievements, and we'll be working on our competitive edges. Of particular note is how the Proton developers actually improve performance in games such as Elden Ring, which highlights the OS against running something a little harder on the system like Windows 11. Zen comments that the team has been, quote, working on, unquote, shipping the OneXPlayer line of devices with a build of Linux or SteamOS in the future. So this is pretty awesome. The whole article is actually a really interesting read, and I actually recommend you check it out. There's going to be a link in the description. I would love to see more devices shipping with Linux and SteamOS in particular as a default option, especially if it saves end users a couple bucks off the asking price. Well, you know what? That's all the stories that I have today. It's been over a month since the deck launched, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, Valve has teased that they're planning on doing a lot more, finding ways to further improve the Steam Deck experience and listening to customer feedback. I would love to hear what you guys think about the Steam Deck and SteamOS in particular. Let me know with the comments down below. I really appreciate it. But I think that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the show out. I want to give a special shout out to my patrons and my YouTube members, without whom I would not be able to do this. So thank you guys. It means the world to me. If you believe in the work that I'm doing and you want to help support this show, help it grow, you can use the links below to become a patron or a YouTube member, join the Linux army, and help us grow. That's going to do it for this video though. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.